Hello. Hello. How are we doing today? Hope you're all doing well. It has been a very good Christmas break, and now we're back at it. Well, not quite back at it. We still have this new year coming up, which is awesome. Cloud Strife First Class, thank you so much for the tier 1. Appreciate you so much. How are you doing today, man? Travalis Duchanson, if I'm saying it right. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be your favorite content creator. That means a lot to me. I hope you're all doing well. So basically, what I wanted to go over today was all of the New Year statements from all of the popular Japanese auteurs who have basically outlined their goals for 2026. I want to do the Final Fantasy questionnaire. Square Enix put out a little survey for FF. I hear it's mostly routine questions, but I just want to go through it. There's also a write-in section, so I think that'll be interesting. 2026 will be huge for SE. What do you know that I don't know? Well, okay. So what do I mean by that? Other than clickbait, obviously. I do think that it'll actually be big for Square. I think that Kingdom Hearts 4 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake 3 both will get reveals. That is my current prediction for what's going to happen. So I think that's going to be huge. I also think that Persona 6 will finally get announced. It's been 10 fucking years, man. It's been 10 fucking years. It has to be this year. It has to be. Come on. It's been 10 years since Persona 5. And yeah. So that's my for sure is that I think that KH4, 7R3, and Persona 6 are hitting. You think P6 will release in 2026? I don't know about that. But I will say it will be announced. Released sounds too good to be true. I'm thinking P6 might be 2027, if anything. But then I also feel won't Persona 4 Revival come before P6, you would think? I do think Dragon Quest 12 will get... It's not going to release next year, I don't think. But I do think that Dragon Quest 12 will get a reveal next year. An actual reveal beyond just the logo. I can imagine Persona 6 releasing before Persona 4 Revival. I think P6 is 2027 and P4R is 2028. Listen, I would love for Persona 6 to precede Persona 4. I just want P6. I think I'd be fine with just knowing what P6 looks like and being able to imagine it for a little bit. Because right now, P6 has been such a hypothetical thing that I can't even conceptualize in my head Persona 6 anymore. You know what I'm saying? It can just be too many things. I just don't know what P6 will be. So there is also this Chinese turn-based game that I hope we can get around to taking a look at today that's been causing quite a storm. Some people have been saying that it looks like Expedition 33. I don't disagree. I think it has parry mechanics. I only kind of skimmed the trailer. I didn't really watch it in full, but I think it does have parry mechanics now. Apparently it's a remake of a game that is almost Final Fantasy-esque. And so, yeah. On a serious note, I assume Metaphor took time away from Persona 6. I don't know the details of how Atlas works internally. So Atlas is doing What I hope is happening with Creative Studio 1 and 2 inside of Square Enix, and it might actually be. And that is that essentially the makers of Persona 3 through 5 went on to make Studio Zero. And that is now the studio that is working on the Metaphor series. However, Persona 6 is now being made by the new team, or the new P Studio, which is the team that specifically upgraded Persona 5 to Persona 5 Royal, right? So that legacy team is now making new calendar games, and the new P Studio that's been established is making the new Persona 6. So this is actually going to be brand new staff working on P6, which is cool. And the reason I relate that back to CS 1 and 2 is not necessarily for, holy shit, Leonthus, holy fuck, Jesus, 10 gift subs, god damn, brother, god damn, thank you, thank you, thank you. What a way to get the fucking year started off right, dude. Thank you so much. Holy fuck. You are the GOAT. Goodness. But anyway, the reason I relate that back to Creative Studio 1 and 2 is because my hope is that Creative Studio 2 will be sort of like a brand new studio. Like, this is kind of where a bunch of younger talent takes on the new mainline games. And then also we'll have kind of the established studio with Creative Studio 1 also making their own Final Fantasy games too. But it'll be like, you know, the type of like Nomura character designs and like type of influence that you would expect from Creative Studio 1. So CS1 will continue to make their stuff, and then CS2 will essentially become kind of a new secondary FF team. I don't have any evidence of that, by the way. No, actually, I do have like slight evidence of that to support that statement, but it's mostly just my copium. But Yoshinori Kitase no longer being the lead of CS1 when he's been like the lead of CS1 for like 20 years. And now he's like the lead of Creative Studio 2. And him and Motomu Toriyama together, right? So that's like CS1 DNA for sure, establishing a second studio. Really interesting. And it's even more crazy because we don't know what they do. We have no idea what the fuck that studio does. Like, Creative Studio 2 is a complete mystery, so. Do you have that picture with all the studios? I do not. If anyone else has it, that would be great. CS2 just sitting around collecting a paycheck? I mean, it looks that way from the outside, but I don't think it's that way on the inside. If I had to place a bet, what things currently look like in my head, and again, this is just what I think is going on. I can't say for sure. I think that CS1 and CS2 are maybe working on 17 and 18. One of them might be working on a new IP instead of 18. But either CS1 or CS2 is working on 17 for sure. And then I think CS3 is working on either a brand new IP well, probably just a brand new IP, I think. I feel pretty certain that they are working on something that's brand new. That's just a hunch, but I feel like they've been wanting to do that for a long while. I feel like Yoshi P has been hinting at that for a long while. Yoshi P has also said that, you know, he's wanted to make an MMO that was separate from Final Fantasy. He said that he's wanted to um, work on other things for a while. So I think now is probably the opportunity for him to get to do that. What are your in-depth thoughts on a Final Fantasy directed by Yoshi P and Yoko Taro? That's what's missing, a risk-taking approach that deviates from certain conventions. Uh, I don't think that Yoko Taro is one of my favorite Japanese auteurs, but I actually would not want him to make a Final Fantasy game. Not that he couldn't, not that it wouldn't be incredible. It just seems like a waste to have him make a Final Fantasy and not his own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like he should be making Nier games and Drakengard games and not Final Fantasy slop. You know what I'm saying? Like, he should be making his own thing, which is unique and cool and has its own value, a value that maybe even rivals Final Fantasy, judging by the sales of Nier Automata and the recently remastered Nier Replicant, which both did really well. Automata like blew the fucking roof off. So I think Nier and Drakengard, you know, is his focus, or should be his focus if Square is smart. I think putting him on a Final Fantasy title, just bad business. Bad business. Also, you know, another thing too is that, well, I think if he did make a Final Fantasy game, the Final Fantasy game he would be a Nier game, if that makes sense. It would still be Nier. And I think that's awesome. I'd probably fucking love it because I fucking love Nier. But the issue I would have is that, like, you know, while people are talking about getting Final Fantasy's identity back on track, I think it would make more sense to not get a guy who's just made an IP that debatably at the current moment is more valuable, possibly even than Final Fantasy, to just make Final Fantasy to try to get it back on track. He should be focusing on his original work. Now I say that, but I wouldn't say no to a Yoko Taro Final Fantasy, obviously. But, you know, as we can look at Final Fantasy 16, and maybe some people might say that Final Fantasy 16 gets off track, right? Like, it's not like Final Fantasy's identity, let's just say. Then I think that feeling might be intensified if a Final Fantasy game showed up and it was Drakengard. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would probably be pretty far off from what people would expect from Final Fantasy. So I think making Yoko Taro FF game would be the worst thing for getting the brand back on track and unified. Yeah. Yeah, it would be. And I say that as a Taro fan and as someone who, like, if he makes a Final Fantasy game, I will eat that shit up. So, again, business-wise, I would say bad idea. Personally, I'd fucking love it because it would just be a Nier game with some Final Fantasy shit in it, and I'm cool with that. I would eat it up. But what the correct thing for the brand right now, is that the right thing to do? I would personally say no. But if it does happen and we do get Yoko Taro Final Fantasy, then yeah, you'll see me eating that shit up. But this is one of those things where I have to separate what I would personally like and what I think is good for the brand, for the business, and for the art of the FF series and its continued identity, then yeah. How do we define Final Fantasy's identity? Are we talking about gameplay, story? If it's gameplay, I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is Final Fantasy's identity, and we should use that as the baseline for all. I think that is like the overwhelming consensus, right? I don't think that story-wise, Final Fantasy has a super massive identity problem. I don't think that they have made a Final Fantasy story yet that is like, this is just completely not Final Fantasy. That's not to say that they've made every single story perfect, but it is to say that I don't think that like, I don't think that story wise they've made anything yet that I'm like, this has nothing to fucking do with what Final Fantasy is at its core. Right? I think they've only done that one time with one FF product ever. And ironically, it came from the fucking creator of Final Fantasy, and that was The Spirits Within. I think that's the only like major Final Fantasy thing that has happened that I've been like, this just completely has nothing to fucking do with with FF. And I would, yeah, I think that that's like the one that just, yeah, that's just nothing to fucking do with Final Fantasy thematically. I mean, it kind of does. The Gaia hypothesis is kind of at the core of FF, but it just, Spirits Within is Final Fantasy though. It is, but it's kind of a stretch, right? It's kind of like it pushes the fucking limit where I'm like, okay. In some ways, I think even Hironobu Sakaguchi was like too ambitious about like what Final Fantasy is. Like in his head. And to clarify like what I mean by that, because I'm kind of doing this through what Nomada said, because Nomada was like, yeah, to like Sakaguchi, Final Fantasy can even be a book. And I'm like, okay, man. maybe not that far. Maybe not that far. I do think that you do have to have some constraints on that. Overambition is the Square side's fatal flaw. The Enix side seems to be mostly capable of holding itself back a bit. It is. But you have to understand that overambition has been like so key to how Final Fantasy became popular in the first place. Stinky Duck, thank you so much for the bits. I appreciate it. Stinky Duck says, bro, Merry Christmas to you. Hope it was great. Need your 2 cents. FF fandom online seems to be big dooming right now. Identity and business, etc. Is this all being spun out of control because we have no new FF news? Isn't it interesting that there are no real FF news for the new games in the Square Enix pipeline? I have to wonder if 3D partner stake is shaking up strategy already, and we don't know. Again, thank you for the 500 bits, and that's also a great question. So, yeah, I think that it is somewhat valid to doom, because this is looking more and more like a hostile takeover, to be honest. The hope is that even though this hostile takeover is probably a bad thing, that somehow, if it can get Square Enix's business structure back in order, it might inadvertently be a good thing for the fans. That's the hope. Or the cope, depending on where you stand on that. But that being said, yeah, it is spiraling out of control because there's no news to fill the void. And so the bad news is kind of eating up the news cycle, right? And so it's really easy to fixate on that. When we have 7R3 announced, which I think that we're probably just a few months away from that, I think that they'll probably have it announced. I mean, they're going to announce it sometime this year. So if we assume that they're going to announce 793 in the middle of the year, then I think people will have something to focus on. And I think it won't be as bad. And I think that Kingdom Hearts 4 will be kind of the biggest disruptor for the bad news, right? Because the moment Kingdom Hearts 4 drops, not necessarily releases, but just the media is out there and Kingdom Hearts 4 becomes tangible and the hype cycle begins for the game, I think people are going to focus more on that. And that's good. However, it doesn't mean that the bad stuff goes away. It just means that we focus on it less. So, I mean, the thing with 3D investment partners is probably like the next 5 to 10 years of Square. So, I don't know how to say your username. Luckbauer? Am I saying it right? Thank you so much for this super chat. Square Enix cannot be saved. Sandfall Interactive is the new Squaresoft. I'll say this. I think it's great that we have someone like Sandfall there to make the type of games that they're going to be making in addition to the type of Square Enix games that we're also going to be getting. And not to say that obviously they do have their own identity, but it's cool that we're going to have someone making more shit like Lost Odyssey, Expedition 33, Final Fantasy X type games, and we'll also be getting whatever Square Enix is making next. So, whatever happens to Square Enix, I think it's good that there are other RPG makers there to kind of fill in the void. So, I do think that Remake 3 is actually going to be a lot better than some people are kind of anticipating, because one thing about that part of Final Fantasy VII is that it is just like an action-packed roller coaster. Great section for just pacing and everything. Ghost Freak 11, thank you so much for this super chat. I'm still calling it Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 comes out before KH4. It might. It might. But here's the thing, right? They have a trilogy planned in a pipeline for a trilogy with the Final Fantasy VII re-trilogy, and they did not have that with Kingdom Hearts 4, right? So Kingdom Hearts 4 is like brand new assets, brand new code, brand new on a brand new engine even, because it's going from Unreal Engine 4 to 5. Nothing is being recycled from Kingdom Hearts 3. We can mostly assume. Very, very, very minimal things are being recycled from Kingdom Hearts 3. With that in mind, you can really see why it's taking so long. This also being said, you can also see, as it relates to Final Fantasy, why all of this jumping around shit, and by jumping around, I mean this need to reinvent the wheel to such a deep degree every single game that they make in terms of the gameplay has just been utterly wasteful. Now, I don't think it was wasteful up to a point, right? Because I think that when they first decided to switch the action, or really when they first decided to move away from traditional ATB and Final Fantasy X's conditional ATB, is that they needed a new system and they didn't know what they were going to do, because they never really found an acclaimed one, like a universally acclaimed one, until 7R. Subtext, bro, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. The irony of Sandfall versus Square discourse is that the Sandfall's director and Hamaguchi have been doing been so publicly doing the opposite, hanging out, doing interviews together, etc. Yeah, and Black Lion Guard also mentions that, yeah, that Guillaume thanked Sakaguchi during his acceptance speech. Again, subtext, thank you for the super chat. And you're right, man. You're right. It's really funny because when I first played E33, and remember I reviewed it, so I played E33. I played it not streaming, not like, during the discourse, whatever. So I played it in complete um, isolation from everybody else. So I wasn't exposed to anything anyone else was saying. And the whole time, for me, I was just thinking how much I love the game because of how it kind of understood everything that I loved about RPGs, old and new. And it kind of brought all that into one place in like a really cool and interesting way. And so I think that it's really interesting to see that all of these Japanese developers also love the game, and the developers at Sandfall love JRPGs, and they have like a mutual love. What I'm trying to say is it really only exists on Twitter and in fandom discourse. That it is E33 versus JRPGs. I think that's nonsense. It is not E33 versus JRPGs. E33 exists because of JRPGs. And Japanese creatives love E33. Multiple of them said it was their game of the year. It's all fake, bro. It's all fake. It is all fake. It's all bots. Like it's all really silly. It's all so silly, dude. Like, some people even calling it like Colonizer 33, which I feel like is just so utterly ridiculous. I'm like, dude, Japanese developers love it. IGN Japan gave it Game of the Year. This is fake. This is fake. It's fake. It's fake, guys. You can just like both. Just like both. It's okay. It's like when I said, again, usually like the most divisive opinions I've ever had on the internet were usually my takes when I said that it's okay if both things are around. Which is like really funny because that is like the take that everyone hates like the most. So like when I said that it's okay if we have turn-based games that look like Trails and Persona, and it's okay if we have like turn-based games that look like Lost Odyssey and Expedition 33, and that pissed people off. That pissed people off, but I'm like, I mean, clearly there's a market for both. So why the fuck shouldn't they make both, right? That's all I said. But that was, again, like one of the most divisive opinions actually for every reason I've ever had. Bots like getting people mad, grifters love getting people mad, and people love to be mad. I'm going to be a hypocrite for a second. I'm going to be a massive hypocrite. But it does, whenever you give people well, I guess I'm not entirely a hypocrite because my Twitter is not monetized. I do have the blue check on my Twitter, and I had monetization on for a while when I first started, but it hasn't been active for like over a year. But I think that whenever you incentivize people to basically engage with no repercussion, so long as they get engagement, they're rewarded. then they are going to do probably dubious, nefarious things to get that engagement because that will bolster their platform and that will get them paid. Again, to some degree, I'm a hypocrite because I do this, right? I mean, obviously, I don't do that, but I am a content creator and I do make money from doing this, obviously. I, as well as many content creators that you probably like and respect, and you like and respect them for this reason, is because they practice discretion with anything that they're creating or saying, because their purpose is to make good content, informative content, content that educates and entertains and is also truthful and valid. And by monetizing it, they can make it their work such that they can make better content that, again, entertains and informs. But the problem is that not everyone has that agenda, and some people just want to min-max entirely. And that min-maxing entirely creates a situation where people don't give a fuck, and they say, fuck ethics, fuck all this shit. I want to make as much money, get as many likes, blow the fuck up, have a ton of influence, and yeah. You deserve the money. You're one of my favorite FF YouTubers. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Why did E33 sell so well versus many FF games? Word of mouth. The word of mouth was really good. I think that there is an audience that is looking for something that represents Final Fantasy 6 through 10, and I think they kind of found it in E33, or it represented it, and a lot of those people gravitated toward that. And yeah, it's true that a lot of people that gravitated toward it aren't necessarily deep into JRPGs. They just remember Final Fantasy as it used to be, and it looked like that for them. So, and that's part of it. So word of mouth and that. Roy Mustang, thank you so much for the super chat. What happens to the Trails in the Sky streams? Did you drop the game? By the way, second remake trailer dropped a week ago. Okay, so I did not drop the game. I want to be entirely clear about that. I was, I guess I was having like back issues for a little while. My lower back is better, and I couldn't sit for long periods of time, and I seem to be better now. So I didn't want to play the game for a bit because it kind of hurt me to like sit down and stream it for like 3 or 4 hours when I need to like frequently stand. You may see me stand actually in a little bit because I need to stand frequently so that my lower back doesn't hurt. I have terrible posture sitting, and that's all. So we'll get back on Holy Unk. I know. So we'll get back on Trails probably this week or next week. I want to be able to beat it. I was thinking I would beat it on stream. If I don't beat it on stream, I'm definitely beating it off stream. Or I'll do everything and then beat it on stream if that works. What are your thoughts on a Final Fantasy X remake? Oh, first of all, thank you, Cloudy Mind 12, for this super chat. So Cloudy Mind 12 asks, what are your thoughts on a Final Fantasy X remake? I would have absolutely loved this. Also, can we get a live stream soon? I think you mean dedicated to Nier. Oh yeah, I would love to do a Nier live stream. So I've been trying to I've been wanting to do a Nier live stream, or like focus on like Nier lore, and maybe even make videos on it. But the only problem with doing Nier stuff is that I wanted to do it during the window where we actually have Nier hype, so that I can be, so that we can all just be like really enthusiastic about it. Like if I did like a near stream like 2 years ago and we deep dived on near lore, we would basically have nothing to look forward to after that. And I feel like that is actually like in some ways like more depressing and upsetting. So I'm just waiting for like a new Dragon Guard thing to happen. Yeah. And no disrespect by the way with my lower back to the DX Racer chair. It's actually a great chair. Saved my lower back when I first started. Like when I was had my old chair, it was really hurting it. Um, Actually, it was my combination of maybe like a deadlifting injury and my old chair before this one that kind of started hurting my back. So it's been the back problem has been a thing for like years and years, but I just haven't taken care of it. And then to answer your question, Cloudy Mind, on what I think about a Final Fantasy X remake. Okay, I'm against Final Fantasy X remake. I'm against it. Not necessarily because a Final Fantasy X remake ideally wouldn't be incredible. I actually think a Final Fantasy X remake that is all done in one game could potentially outsell a Final Fantasy VII remake. I think Final Fantasy X remake would clear 10 million very easily. 10 is roughly just as popular as 7. Well, at least in terms of sales. I mean, it's generally could be said that 10 is like the second most popular Final Fantasy in general after 10. But I think that the memory of 10 in a weird way has maybe, and I might be entirely off on this. You guys call me out on this bullshit if I'm lying. But I do feel like the memory of 10 has kind of been preserved better in a way, right? Like, and part of that is just the fact that, like, with 10, there hasn't been a compilation of 10. There's only been 10-2 in the audio drama, and those were bad, but it wasn't like you had a whole compilation of like mixed opinions and stuff. And 7 it was always kind of contentious about certain stuff. So I feel like everyone remembers the base 10 in a better light. Benita's Sentiment, thank you for the super chat. Have you tried the Voice of Cards games yet? The games are really fun and I like to see more of them. I have them in my Steam library, but I never tried them. So I would like to try them. I think I'm going to try it actually as we get closer to whatever the new Draconeer thing is. So yeah, I would love to try Voice of Cards. But anyways, I think that Final Fantasy X, if it was one for one for the most part, only with focusing on quality of life additions and enhancing the experience, like reworking the mini games and such, and it was told in a single game, would be a perfect first entry Final Fantasy. The problem is that I do not trust Square Enix to make that. I'm sorry, I just don't fucking trust them to make that. I don't think they would make a good Final Fantasy X remake, which is the primary reason I'm against it. I think that it will be I think it'll be something that isn't part of Final Fantasy X. I think that 7 had like a lot more room for change, especially after Advent Children and stuff like that. Everyone looked at 7 and they were kind of like, I want a version of FF7 that looks like Advent Children. And you can control Cloud like Advent Children Cloud. I would want a purist remake of 10. I would. Yeah, I would unironically want an MGS Delta for Final Fantasy X. That's the only thing I would accept. I don't want anything else. And I think they can rework the mini games completely. I love the Final Fantasy VII Retrilogy battle system. I think it is one of the best battle systems ever made. I would accept a Final Fantasy 1 through 9 remake with that system. I would accept Final Fantasy 17 with that system. I would love remakes of 13 and 15 with that system. Oh my god. And I think that Final Fantasy 16 would have been better if it had that system. But if that system even touches, even grazes Final Fantasy X remake, I will lose my fucking mind. I will lose my fucking mind. I will lose my fucking mind. I do not want Final Fantasy X to be remade with that battle system. No. Hell no. Hell fucking no. It needs to be conditional turn based. Otherwise, they can throw that shit the fuck out. I'm sorry. Truth nuke. It's one of the best battle systems. I mean, don't get me wrong. 7R battle system is one of the best battle systems ever made, but so is CTB. So is CTB. And so them replacing it with that, I would just be like, this is a fucking disgrace. I do not accept this shit. But yeah, they can remake any other Final Fantasy with it. But with 10, no. And part of it is because 10 is deliberately not an ATB game. You know, it would be fun in a hypothetical Final Fantasy X remake using the Trails hybrid combat and its take on CTB with AoEs and positions. Yeah, that would actually work. I'd be fine with that. Or even just having the hybrid action system and then you go into like the more traditional turn-based. But no, not re-ATB. And I love re-ATB, and yeah, I love 7R's battle system, but replacing 10s as a war crime, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like any other Final Fantasy game, we're good. Like literally any other one. But not 10. Come on now. All right, so let's go ahead and do a thing. Let's take a look at this Final Fantasy questionnaire that Square Enix has done. This is a survey. By taking part of this survey, you confirm that you were aged 16 or over. Okay. Please choose all the game consoles you own and play regularly. I mean, I guess you can say I have an Android because I rent one from Amazon in order to e.g. buy and return one from Amazon in order to play. So yeah, you could say I have one. I mean, yeah. I don't have a Portal. I don't have any Xbox current. I do have a gaming PC, a small gaming PC. Yeah, because I own a Steam Deck. I don't own a MetaQuest, yes, actually. Please choose how many games, including Steam or PC, and downloaded purchases you purchased in the last year for your own personal use. Not limited to Final Fantasy. Fuck, man. The Steam sale really hits. I'm gonna say, oh, fuck. I didn't realize we're off center. My bad. Shit. There we go. My bad. Okay, there we go. Finally, he noticed. My bad. Okay, I'll just say 10 or more. Where do you usually obtain information about games? Hello, I watch The Night Sky Prince. That's how I get all of my fucking information about games. Let's see. Honestly, all of these, right? Except TV commercials. Online store. Not really, honestly. Videos, ads. I pay for YouTube Premium. Banner ads on the top of websites. Not really. Nintendo Direct, Xbox Game Showcase, TV shows. Not really. Post and or shares on social media timeline, unfortunately. Word of mouth, yep. Publisher, developer, or game series official live streams, yep. Articles from non-gaming media, not really. Ad signage, nah. This is a very fascinating question, by the way. This is a really fucking fascinating question. And this just goes to show how influential like the Magic the Gathering collaboration was. So for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do, I want to drill this the fuck in. The Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy collaboration was the most successful collaboration they have ever done in the history of Magic the Gathering. It beat MCU. It beat Lord of the fucking Rings. IPs that are way bigger, way more ubiquitous in culture. Can confirm all my Magic the Gathering homies love FF now. Bro, I know so many people who have not touched a Final Fantasy since maybe 8 or 10. And they were like, oh yeah, I gotta fuck with that new Final Fantasy cards. I gotta get the new cards. It was huge. The love for Final Fantasy has not diminished. However, for whatever reason you want to attribute it to, I'm not going to fill it in for you. People they still love Final Fantasy, but they're not buying maybe the most recent games. Whether that's exclusivity, whether that's something with the marketing, whether that's it's not turn-based no more, whatever you want to say, I'll let you fill that in. However, it shows they have an insanely high ceiling. The sky is the fucking limit for this series. So it can get there. It's like, it's not impossible. So we'll say, I know what kind of product it is. Tell us everything that you've experienced regarding Magic the Gathering. I watch other people talk about it and play it. I don't play it myself. Please select the option that applies to you regarding Final Fantasy Tactics. The Ivalice Chronicles released on September 30th. None of these apply to me. Because I received a review copy from Square Enix. I'm just going to say I downloaded it. Because it's a digital copy, right? So, yeah, because none of those really fit. But regarding Dissidia Duellum, announced October 2025, please select the option that applies to you. Well, I certainly know what kind of game it is because I played it. For those familiar with Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy, did you participate in and play the closed beta for Dissidia Duellum? I did participate. For those familiar with Dissidia Final Fantasy Duellum, do you think you'll play it when it is released? Actually, yeah, I definitely will play it. I don't think that a lot of other people will because of how angry they are about the existence of the game. But I'm pretty hyped for it. So yeah, I'll say I think I'll play it. Please choose which of the following you'd like to see from the official Final Fantasy social media accounts. Some new merch would be cool. Because I think that... And I guess by merch, I actually mean like clothing items and jackets, because I have really cool like Persona like jackets and shit, but there's not like many Final Fantasy like things that you can buy like in terms of like clothing merch. So campaigns to participate in, yeah, I'd love to see FF. Collaborations with YouTubers. I think that's a fucking awful idea, especially if they collaborated with Night Sky Prince. I think that would just be like a terrible, awful move. Live updates from official events. Latest news on. I mean, basically, kind of all of this shit is good. You know, all of that's good. Please tell us all your favorite designs from the calendars distributed by the Final Fantasy social. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What is this? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Final Fantasy 9 one from July. What the fuck is this question, dude? The Clive and Jill one is also nice. Um, but like also like what the fuck is this question? What the fuck? Okay. Um Please choose any smartphone games you have played from the options below. I've downloaded and played all of these at least once. I didn't play Record Keeper or War of the Visions, but I will say the artwork for War of the Visions is pretty kino. So I guess technically I played all of these at least for a little while. Which of the are which damn chat, damn. Which one are you still playing? And the only option is Ever Crisis because that's the only one that's still alive. That's sad. They should just ask like, are you playing Ever Crisis? Right? Like that should just be the question. But it's like, which of the following are you still playing? And only one is alive. That's pretty fucking funny. But no, I haven't really played Ever Crisis in a while. Please choose the titles you have played from the list below. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now a caveat here, I need to go back and finish Final Fantasy V because I actually didn't finish it. And then also Final Fantasy 11. Um, I spent maybe 20 hours in FF11, but I didn't spend like a tremendous amount of time. But basically, I've, you know, been through all these. Stranger of Paradise. We still actually have not got around to playing Tactics yet. I know. But we are going to. Tactics is on the list for this year. Theater Rhythm. I actually never got around to playing World of Final Fantasy. That's one of those games that I own multiple times over, and I just never got around to actually sitting down and playing through it. So Final Fantasy Type 0, and I never played Chocobo Mystery Dungeon. But all of these other ones I have played. Please tell us which of the games you chose in the last questions you played first. I would say that basically is what they're asking, like, which is like your first Final Fantasy? Okay, 7. Please tell us which titles you like of the ones you said you played. Oh, wait, how the fuck does this work? Okay, let me actually. I'm sorry, my screen is ultra wide. So let me see if I can just do this actually and make it like a 16 by 9 shaped window. No, that looks terrible. I don't understand how the fuck this works. how does this work? So I guess I say that it's like a top rated title, a second like title, or a third like title. Okay. Okay, let's start with like the top tier. Okay, the top tier Final Fantasy games. I will say Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Oh, wait. Can I? Oh, I have to pick a top three? Oh, shit. A most liked. A second. Oh, shit. They're asking for a top three Final Fantasy. Oh, shit. Okay. I don't know what I would put for my third one. Put Rebirth? We need that signal? Oh yeah, you're right. Final Fantasy 14 for a while. Well, I don't know. Final Fantasy 14 kind of fell off for me after the Hydaelyn Zodiac saga. It is there. I feel like I want to say 9, but I honestly haven't played like done a full playthrough of 9 in so long. That's probably the Final Fantasy game I need to most replay. Actually, is 9 because I'm gonna go with 9. I'm gonna go with 9. Well, I'll say 14. I'll say 14. I still like the Heidelin Zodiac saga is still irreplaceable in terms of the effect that it had on me. I have like a naked Xenos poster behind me. I'm not fucking kidding, by the way. You can't see it because it's off screen, but it's like it's literally up there. I have like a shirtless Xenos picture. So I will say 14, actually. For those who selected Final Fantasy 14 among the titles you played, do you currently have a Final Fantasy 14 subscription? I am not currently subscribed because after Endwalker, the everything kind of fell off for me. I didn't like 6.x, and I didn't even get far enough into. Um, oh, I'm sorry. Let me make this big again. Let me undo that. Are you familiar with the Final Fantasy portal website? I only know the name of it. I don't know what the fuck that is. I feel like I do know it, but yeah. Please tell us any ways you've enjoyed Final Fantasy in the last year other than playing video games. Listen to music every day. Read an article on the FF Portal site. No. Participated in a real life event. I mean, I have, but I don't know if I have in the last year. I don't think. Last Final Fantasy event I went to was the 16 launch party in LA. So Dawn and the patches you didn't like much? I don't know, because I only got like a little bit through Dawn and I was just like, I'm not feeling this. And then I just turned it off, to be honest. So I legitimately cannot even say for Dawn. But then like most of the people that I really trust opinions wise were not into Dawn at all. And so that really did not make me want to go back to it. So that kind of like turned me off because I was like, wow, this shit kind of. Because 14 used to be my number one for a while when the story was like incredible. The Shadowbringers arc leading into Endwalker was like the best thing ever. And then it just kept, yeah. And I was like, I think I'm good. And then also, I think the expansions stayed a little formulaic for a little too long. Yeah, the recent patches people say have been good, but sitting through that long ass experience is just so oof. Participate in real life events. Not recently. The 16 launch party in 2023 was like the last thing I did. Enjoyed a Final Fantasy collaboration with other brands. I guess hypothetically, purchase books. Not in the last year. Watch videos on sharing sites. You fucking bet. I think that's it. Do you enjoy Final Fantasy with anyone else? um, Literally, does this count? Like literally, does it? I don't know. Um, I guess I'll say my spouse. I don't have children. At least not yet. Not my parents, although that would be cool. My brother doesn't play FF games really. A spouse and significant other are like two different things for some reason, which I guess I'm gonna check both. Like, well, it's kind of weird that that's two different things. I guess one means like married necessarily, and the other one doesn't. Or maybe it like allows you to accommodate like your wife and your side chick. I don't know. Did your nephew finish remake? No, not yet, but he is pretty close. Um with friends in real life with my work colleagues, I mean, yeah. With friends and acquaintances online, yeah. Please select products you'd like to see more of related to the Final Fantasy series. Collectible figures, I think we got enough. Food and beverage, no. Plush toys, uh, acrylic stands, smartphone and PC accessories, yes. Table and kitchenware, I'm good. Stationery and miscellaneous goods. Pet goods, I'm actually going to say fuck yes, bro. I'm actually going to say fuck yes on that one. Travel goods, you know what? Why the fuck not? Analog cards and board games? Actually, yes. Yes. Yes, apparel especially and accessories, and I'll say art too. Do you want to share the Final Fantasy series with other people on services like social media? Bro, are you fucking serious? I would never in my life share Final Fantasy on social media. What the fuck? Who the fuck does that? Who the fuck does that? Ah, that's funny. Hell no, that's a zero. I mean, I guess, bro. I guess. We'll put 10. Roy Mustang, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think Square is the worst performing Japanese AAA company right now? I don't have the stats to say whether that's the case. Daryl from FF Union would know that offhand better than me. I will say that they're the most undervalued for sure. And by undervalued, I mean the fact that they definitely have way more potential than what they are currently living up to. And I don't think most people disagree with that. However you feel about the current games that they're putting out, I think we all agree that Square Enix could be doing a lot better, and that they should be doing a lot better, and hopefully they can figure that out eventually. Um, this is a pretty funny survey. At some point, I'm waiting for, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely would you be to get a Final Fantasy tattoo on your ass? That would be funny. So it's off screen, but I'm putting 10 for this one. Oh no. Oh no. Please tell us how high your expectations are for the Final Fantasy series in the future. Chat, look away. Oh no. Oh no. This is the hardest fucking question. Oh man. Well, okay. Um it's not zero. It's not zero. But it ain't 10. Okay. It ain't 10, but it's not zero. We know you want to doom big, bro. I don't want to doom, but I also can't say I can also can't lie and say that like and say I have like super high expectations for the future. Okay, listen. I'll be real with y'all. And yes, I'm about to lean into being a hater a little bit, so brace yourself. For those of you who've been following me for years, you know how excited I was about Final Fantasy 16. And I feel like that game, I know a lot of you love it, and no disrespect to those that do, but that game like crushed my optimism for the future of the series. Like I was like this is not what I want Final Fantasy to be. And I was open-minded to all of it. I mean, I was like Sean Solo open-minded to it. I was like, yeah, no party members, hack and slash game. Let's all give it a try. It just did not it did not do it. And that really crushed me in terms of my excitement. Yeah, Shadow Master Key. It balanced out for me because I think 16 crushed it for me in terms of like how I was feeling in terms of optimism. And then when I played Rebirth, I was like, holy shit, they can do it. They can still make the kind of Final Fantasy games that I'm looking for. I think I'm going to go with 5 right now. And let me explain what that 5 means to me. That 5 means to me that I'm not dooming, but I'm not going to be excited by default for the next thing. I'm not going to be, foaming at the mouth for 17 when it's first announced. Subtext, thank you for the super chat. This is such a hard question because what is it based on? 16, Rebirth, totally different answers to those. And this question can be weaponized internally. Yeah. That is a great point. That is a great point. Right? Because while I feel this way about 16, there is also a group of people that feel that way about Rebirth and are like, I hope the next thing is like 16, right? Those are real people. Probably a smaller amount of people, but like again, like what is it based on? Is it based on Final Fantasy 14? Is it based on 16? Is it based on how you feel about Re-Trilogy? And that's kind of the thing with the brand is that it's accommodating so much that we even have to ask, like, what sector of Final Fantasy are you? And someone can be excited about 7R3 but not 17, or They could have loved 16 and then they're like, oh my God, why the fuck do we have to deal with 7R3? You know what I'm saying? So um, I'm going to go with 5. Would you like to participate in events celebrating or anniversaries or other milestones for the Final Fantasy series? Every single one of these. Yeah, I think it's great to celebrate stuff. Oh no, the worst question. What is your age? I'm right at the cutoff, chat. 34. I'm gonna be Unk in 2026. Vanita Sentiment, thank you so much for this super chat. This question feels loaded and should have been asked better. I completely agree. Um, because we have Final Fantasy going in so many different directions with so many different creatives and no unified vision. Like I said, I could say yes, 10 out of 10 excitement, but I would be predicating that based on my feelings about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and not 16, right? But then I can't ignore the fact that 16 exists and that they might do another one like that. So then I would have to say that I'm not excited, right? I don't know. Like I said, there's definitely people that like both, and um, there's definitely people that like neither, right? So, nah, say you're 16 to 19, so true, King. Um, this may shock you. I am a male. Um, I know, chat. You all thought I was a bad bitch, and I am, but I'm a man, believe it or not. Please choose the area you live in. North America? What does the Final Fantasy series mean to you? I'm sorry. This is a dumbass question. Why are you asking me this with like a multiple choice question? And like the choices are how much I love it. Like like to hate it. Also also imagine choosing I don't like it, but you're taking this fucking survey, which is also kind of a fucking insane thing to do. There is some sociopath out there who hates Final Fantasy or has never played it, and he's taking this survey just because, and these options are for him. Um, Downvoting Final Fantasy to speed Dragon Quest up. That's fucking hilarious. Holy shit. I mean, I like by law, I have to choose this one. By law, I have to choose this one, but in all seriousness, though, given Square Enix track record, FF to me went from the first option to the second option now. I can understand that. I feel like, I mean, I feel like I have to put option number one because, I mean, look at what I'm fucking doing right now. So, I mean, I'd be like a hypocrite to say anything else other than that. Not to say that I don't still love it. It's just like, I feel like by virtue of like what I do, it would be so wrong to like put anything else. Um, yeah, Shadow Master Key, I do think that like, rage content is such a thing that there would definitely be people that would do this just to be like, yeah, I hate it, just for the sake of it. So I'll say, yeah, I love it and consider it. Oh boy, if you have any comments about the Final Fantasy series, please share them below. I am going to share, chat, the message. I am going to share the big takeaway from everything that I've been preaching all these years. It seems to me that every time you create a new battle system to bring in new fans, you just divide the existing fans further and attract nobody new. Most of us love the Final Fantasy VII Re-Trilogy battle system. We also loved Final Fantasy X's conditional turn-based. That should be a proper noun. Please consider expanding systems like these as I think, well, because they are universally acclaimed, can attract new fans, or can attract new fans, and can unite existing fans. That's what I'll say. I think, okay, thank you for your cooperation. We're done. Yay. Wasn't that great, chat? Base comment, I won't even do it myself just for this. Once you strike gold, you need to keep digging where you are. You don't go somewhere else and start digging. Yeah, it is really funny to me too that they stopped doing turn-based systems after, or strictly turn-based, or how should I say it? I guess we'll just say turn-based as an umbrella term. That they stopped after 10 because that's when they made like their most popular turn-based system, and then immediately they ditched it, and I think that might have been a bad idea. So let's talk about Japanese creatives and what they are planning for 2026. We got some really good shit that gets me excited here. So we'll start off with Yosuke Saito, who is the producer for Dragon Quest, I believe. And he also, or I believe he's the producer of the creative studio behind Dragon Quest. And he is also the producer of the Nier series. So Genki says here, Square Enix producer Yosuke Saito confirmed he is now in charge of the Dragon Quest series, on top of being in charge of the Nier series. He says they are preparing various projects that will make people go, whoa. The 40th anniversary year of Dragon Quest is finally here. 40 years, that's amazing. Personally, after finishing my role as a producer on Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age, and stepping away from the Dragon Quest team, I return in April 2024 as the lead on Dragon Quest titles due to organizational restructuring. Interesting. I'm currently in the middle of developing various projects, so I think there will be a lot more I can share. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, whoa. I'll do my best, so please give me your support. Now, bro only mentions Dragon Quest. Where's the Nier mention? Where is the Nier mention, bro? So I do think that this means Dragon Quest 12. Lightning Magna, thank you so much for the tier 1. This really makes me think that a Nier game got canceled. Holy fucking shit. I mean, I don't know, man, but it is kind of depressing that he only talks about Dragon Quest and not Nier. So, I mean, at the very least, it suggests that Dragon Quest 12 is gonna get something this year. But that is pretty fucking depressing, right? Okay. It might be cut off, but it says here that Yosuke Saito is the lead of Creative Studio 4 and 5, for those wondering here. So, Persona. Persona team director Kazuhisa Wada says they have a lot of global announcements to make for the Persona 30th anniversary next year. Ambitions for 2026. 2026 marks Persona's 30th anniversary. Various preparations are steadily underway, and our plans are firmly on track. So, all that's left is to give it our all and see it through. The plan is in motion. We're preparing a wide range of initiatives on a global scale for Persona's 30th anniversary. 2026 will also be a time when we can talk about new games such as Persona 4 Revival. So, please look forward to it. So, things are looking pretty good for Persona, honestly. This means that we will probably, I mean, we're definitely getting Persona 4 Revival updates next year. That much he pretty much says flat out. But it means that P6 is possible, right? Now, the 25th anniversary of Persona was just an absolute fucking waste of time. Like, it was just such a waste of time. Nothing like really major was announced. It was just not a great time. So I feel that the 30th anniversary may be different, and P6 may headline that anniversary. I feel like P6 may have been something they wanted to do last time, but they weren't able to. We are likely getting something Dragon Quest 12 related in May, which is Dragon Quest Day, likely a trailer and reveal of the hero. I don't know about a release date. Also, the remakes of 1 through 3 were full of hints, outright references that we might be getting remakes of the Zenthia, I believe, trilogy, 4 through 6. I believe it. I think every Dragon Quest game is going to get a remake. Basically, every Dragon Quest game except 11 will be remade. So my hope is that Persona 6 is going to be announced. I don't need the game to just release or anything. I just want to know that Persona 6 is real. It is a thing that can be talked about, and that it is like, you know, I just want to see like the main protagonist and like a logo, and like I would be fine. I just want to know it's real, you know, more than even tangibly having it. I just want to know that it's a thing that's happening. So we have series producer Yoshinori Kitase, Famitsu New Year's Message. Keywords, anytime, anywhere, 7, obviously as that relates to the Switch 2 port. Ambitions in preparation for the upcoming conclusion. I would like as many people to play Final Fantasies. I would like as many people as possible to play Final Fantasy 7. Current status, the first game of the Final Fantasy 7 remake project, blah, 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 coming to Switch 2 and Xbox. That's pretty straightforward. And we know this, but I do think that obviously Part 3 is going to be announced next year. Do you think the large gap between Persona 5 and 6 will hinder reception? No, but the reason is because Persona has continued to stay relevant in between that time. Persona 5 has basically sold like 2 million units for the past couple of years. So for whatever reason, Persona has continued to be evergreen. They've continued to keep it like relevant even without a major game release. And a lot of that is through the re-releases, so Persona 5 Royal, porting the Persona games to the platforms, the recent platforms, doing a remake of Persona 3, and yeah. Roy Mustang, thank you for another super chat, my guy. You're the best. Persona 6 will probably be quite underwhelming given that Hashino, Soejima, and Meguro are not involved. It is really concerning, right? I don't know how well the new team is going to be able to do. It's also concerning that it's been taking so long. I mean, Persona 5 took a really long time, but I think at this point, Persona 6 is taking even longer than 5 did. And it's by an entirely different team almost. Wait, Shoji Meguro is not involved? Yeah. So it's going to be like new music, new, like, it's going to have a very different feel. So I don't know. P6 will be better without Hashino IMO. A lot of the weird tropey shit is due to Hashino. I mean, Metaphor didn't have it though. Metaphor didn't have like a lot of Persona's tropes, but I guess that's because he tried to break away from those in Metaphor. So I do think that whoever takes over though will still try to uphold those tropes. Metaphor is one of the least tropey JRPGs I've ever played. Yeah, no, I agree. Actually, it's like really funny because Persona like leans heavily into its tropes, but like Metaphor is really not that tropey at all. I love Metaphor, but wish it was about 50 hours shorter. Dude, hot take. I think most games would be better if they cut the runtime in half. Most games are too long nowadays. I know you guys will hate me for saying it because you're JRPG fans, but I think that most games are too fucking long. You could cut so much shit, and most games would be better for it and not worse. Like go back and play Final Fantasy VII OG. That game is actually surprisingly short. If you beeline FF7 OG, you can complete that shit in like 20-ish hours. Like golden era games were really, really short, but they were so packed. Like moment to moment, it's just like next big thing, next big thing. Yeah, FF7 is mad short. Like it is. Like if you're not getting like Knights of the Round or any bullshit, you can beat FF7 in like 25 hours. I've been catching up on Resident Evil games and those are refreshingly short. Yeah, I mean, bro, FF16 would have went up a whole point for me if that game was shorter. FF16 should have been 20 hours. 25. For some fucking reason, that game is like 40 or 50. Does not make sense. Does not make sense. That game would be so much better if it was shorter. Most games are too long, and I get why they make them that long because people are like, oh, it's $70. I'm not gonna pay $70 for it to be short. Dude, I would probably get more hours in the game because I replayed it more frequently because it was a tight 20-hour experience versus like I only play it once because it takes 100 fucking hours to get through. And so I put the game down because I'm like, I'm burnt out. I cannot touch this game again this decade. Right? Versus a Kino ass 10-hour game, 20-hour game that I can pick up and replay anytime, and it's good and it's so replayable. Like a fucking Kingdom Hearts 2 or Nier Automata game that's like, in that sweet 20-hour spot where you can always run back through it, and every time, every moment that you're playing it is a good Kino video game. I don't know. I just prefer that. I would rather play through a 20-hour game twice than a 40-hour game once. I know you guys, again, that's not like the right JRPG mindset. But it's true. I'd rather play a 20-hour game twice than fuck around with the 40-hour game once, cuz it's just so much easier. And that second playthrough is like really fun too, because you really know the systems, and so you can go back through in the hardest difficulty and like really enjoy the game's combat and grow systems. But typically, like whenever I'm playing something that's like 60 plus hours long, by the time I finish it, I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to look at this thing again. I'm like, I'm done. So I do feel like shorter games for me just it's just better. For me, the perfect JRPG length should be 25 to 30 hours main quest and 50 hours completionist. Yes. 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 And that is how they used to make them, bro. That is how they used to make them. All the greatest JRPGs of all times that people talk about from like the 90s and 2000s, they were 25 to 30 hours long. They were not 100 hours of fucking bloat like they are now. And that's not to say that they aren't great games now. It's just that they do contain bloat. But most of the great games that people are talking about, greatest games of all time, changed the video games forever RPGs from this era were like 25 hours long. Chrono Trigger is like 20 hours long, bro. It's not 100 hours. FF7, again, if you just beeline that's like 20-ish hours. Um, FF6 is like 20-ish hours. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are like 20-ish hours. What's important is not necessarily the length, but whether or not the game overstays its welcome. Yeah, but I feel like there is no way a single player game can be 100 plus hours and not at some point overstay its welcome, right? Even the best gameplay loop in the world, after 100 plus hours, you're gonna start to feel it. Like at some point during that experience, you're kind of like, damn, this shit is like I am burned out. At least for me, now with Persona 5, really? Okay. So I loved P5, but like once I got to like 80 hours, I was like, holy shit, this is this is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who feels this way, but and again, I want to stress that I do love 100-hour games, plenty of them. Obviously I love Persona, but yeah, I gotta say that one thing I like about Persona 3 and 4 over 5 is that 3 and 4 are a little bit better paced than 5 is. Because 5 goes on 40 hours longer than 3 or 4 do, and that 40 hours is pretty felt by the end of Royal. So, um yeah. Okumura's Palace is when I felt it, and that's like 60 to 65 hours in. Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about like a game, like a single player game's gameplay loop that is meant to sustain you for hundreds of hours. And it's just like, there is not many things that um, can be entertaining for 100 plus hours, right? Like in a single continuous sitting for months, right? So if we assume that you're playing a game for 1 hour a day, each day for um, a little over 3 months, right? At some point, you'll probably be kind of tired. Vinny Sentiment, thank you so much for this super chat. I beeline Rebirth on hard mode and I got through it in about 25 hours. Yeah. It's actually not as crazy long as people think it is. It's just a crazy amount of side content. And I'm fine with that, actually. I think that's how it should be. I think that every like main story should be like somewhere in like the 20 to 30 hour range to complete. And then if you want to have like a fuck ton of side content to do, other than that, that's fine. But I think the main experience should be tighter than like that. And I think the game comes out better for it, right? If you can make 100 hours of video game and all 100 hours are just like the best 100 hours ever, then it's not bad, right? But like most that's probably not practical. It's probably not possible for you to make 100 hours if the best hour, like each hour is the best hour possible. At some point there are hours in there that are just repetition and just less than satisfactory at some point. And so part of the reason is that I just say, if you make it like kind of the golden era games, which are like 20 to 30 hours, you can really focus on making them quality hours instead of just being like, this is the quantity of hours we have. And I hate to say it because it's such a meme, but I do think that E33 did that pretty well in the fact that I first rolled the credits on E33 in like 28 hours. Right? And then there's you can easily double your time with that with the side content in that game. But yeah, you can roll the credits on in 28 hours, and I can really say throughout that entire playthrough, I did not have a single hour of the game where I feel like that wasn't like the best play session. So every play session I had with the game felt really significant. It didn't feel like I sat down and played the game today and all I did was like the boring side quest or anything like that. It was like every time I sat down and played the game, I got through something fairly significant in the story or in the content that felt good. I feel like if you went through all the content, if you went through everything, Rebirth was paced perfectly, but there was just too much intel. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I think that some people like complain about like the Ubisoft open world formula. I think the biggest reason people complain about that in Rebirth is not because it exists, but because there's hundreds of hours of that. Whereas I think that if there was less of it in general, that people wouldn't have reacted so adversely to it. How well do you think Hamaguchi and crew will handle content in 7R Part 3? What do you hope for them to improve on over Rebirth? Nightbreaker, thank you so much for the super chat. I think they'll do really well. I think that Final Fantasy VII Remake 3 is going to be, at the very least from a gameplay experience, and I kind of tie, maybe not necessarily like the story quality itself, but like the narrative, or how should I say, the feeling of the scenario quality, the pacing of it will probably be like really cool too. Because I think when you look at the third part of, I guess when you look at Disc 2 and Disc 3 of Final Fantasy VII, it's a roller coaster ride, man. That whole, final act of FF7 is just so loaded with action and big reveals and incredible moments. So I do think that there is a solid chance that Remake 3 will be the best one of all of them. You know, we have the live stream sequence, we have the huge materia quest. There's a lot of stuff, the weapon fights, there's a lot of stuff for them to pull from. They're going to be less focused on making maps in this game because most of the world map is already done. There's just Wutai and Rocket Town and Icicle Inn and a couple other locations, but it's nowhere near as massive as the amount of work that they had to do in Rebirth. A controllable airship, but like a real controllable airship, not a car, and we're going to be able to fly one in the next part. So I actually think that that's going to be really, really, really awesome part of the game. And a submarine too, which is also going to be great. To need to play games for 5+ hours a day, 100 hours is nothing, but to working adult, it can quickly become a chore. Yeah. Yeah. That's like the problem. You know, as an adult, when you sit down and you play the game, you want every play session to be packed with interesting things, right? And that's more likely to happen when the game isn't 100 hours long and it's more condensed down to the parts of the game that you enjoy, because then you can just get to the action rather than having to slog through, you know, padded side quests and all kinds of other things that they have to do in order to achieve 100 hours. I don't care how anyone can actively defend the open world Rebirth. The Ubisoft comparison is apt as what do you do? The towers to get markers on a map and then do the same copy and pasted time button presses as live streams and summon caves. It's bloat. Plus, the game's biggest sin is new game plus hard mode requiring you to 100% the game again if you want the extra skill points, etc. It is too much, and I do think it should have been cut down, for sure. I guess they wanted to make a Final Fantasy game that would last people from part 2 to 3, so they gave them a lot of content. But I think the better thing to do would have been to keep people hungry. I think the better thing would have been to make a short game. I think that Remake and Rebirth should have been shorter, for sure. It's nearly impossible. Oh, first of all, Clax, thank you so much for the bits. It's nearly impossible to pace 100+ hour games. You'll get fatigue from side quests if there's too many or they're too long, or if there's mandatory events that are just bloat. If there's a bunch of short side quests with bits of a main story in between that, the story will feel awkwardly paced throughout the 100 hours. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm not like a big fan, just principally, of the 100+ hours. Because it's just not going to be 100+ good hours throughout. You're going to have a lot of bad hours. As an enjoyer of Xenoblade, I'd feel pretty hypocritical giving Rebirth flack for its open world. Yeah. That is kind of funny because I do think that, like, I mean, I've only like fully completed Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I played like halfway through 3. But I do think it actually is pretty funny that people are like super critical of how Rebirth did its open world, but like Xenoblade's open world is pretty fucking, I mean, at least for like the first one is like definitely an open world, let's say. Insert whatever adjective you want. So yeah. Metaphase 7261, thank you for the super chat. I finished Xenoblade Chronicles Trilogy last year and it took 380-ish hours. I wonder what the full remake playtime, trilogy playtime will take. Holy shit. Probably about 300-ish hours if we're talking about a full platinum for all of them. If we're talking about just like going straight through them, remake takes 35 hours. Rebirth also takes around 30 hours. So if you're just playing them straight through, it's like 60-ish hours so far. Probably like 90 to 100 hours in total. Rebirth alone took me like 200 hours to platinum. I would never platinum Rebirth. I'm sorry. I would never do it. I would never platinum that game. I really like Rebirth. I really enjoy my time with it. I think it has the best combat of any Final Fantasy game and so many good things about it. But yeah, um I would never fucking platinum it though. That is just too much. So anyway, Naoki Hamaguchi, his keyword is 7, obviously. 2026 is the year we will maximize the value of the FF7 franchise and further strengthen our multi-platform expansion. As we head towards the culmination of the remake series, we will give all of our effort so that we can bring the game to more players and make it a game that remains beloved for a long time to come. While continuing to take on new challenges, we have to strive to make the world of FF7 enjoyable in a broader, deeper way. Please look forward to it. Okay. Yep, they have remake coming out on Switch too. Wait, did we do this one? Yeah, we already talked about this. Additionally, we believe. Yeah, basically, he teases that Persona 6 might be happening. Fucking finally. Okay, and then I want to talk about this one. What's going on with CS3? If a person genuinely likes Rebirth's combat and setting, I would think exploring the world would feel pretty nice, but what do I know? I mean, yeah, that's pretty much how it is. But I think it's just a lot. A lot. Again, it is a 200-hour platinum. And I think that if you go for everything in the game, then yeah, it's it's going to be maybe overwhelming for you. And it's going to feel like there's so much to do. And again, I don't even think that the gameplay loop is the problem there. I think that it's just too much, right? Like if you cut all that content down by like 3/4, I don't think people would have complained as much. I mean, that's the problem with like the Ubisoft open world formula in general, I think, is that the first few hours, it's pretty exciting. And then as you get further and further through it, it becomes like, okay, dude, I'm so fucking done with this. It's the same thing over and over again. And that's the problem, right? Like it's how long that formula goes on for, right? If that formula didn't go on for that long, then it would be fine. But this is the problem with every like, okay, we're going to do a 100, 200-hour game, is that no gameplay loop really is going to really be like satisfying for that long in a single player game. It just won't be. At some point, you're going to be like, dude, I'm fucking tired of this shit. And you might love the game. Again, I love games that do this. But it would just be a better game if it just didn't, right? Like when you're doing like 100 fetch quests that the developers put in there to pad out the game's content, you know, whether you love that game or not, it's still sort of like, wouldn't it have been better if instead of all this padding, they just reduced the side quest down to like, you need to do like the really good ones that expand the world and cut out all the filler stuff, you know? So Xenoblade 3 took me over a year to complete and I dropped it twice in the process. It was definitely fatiguing. In retrospect, I don't regret. Yeah, that's how it usually is, right? Like, I never regret finishing any of those ultra long games. The only problem is that it just is draining at multiple points throughout the game, where I'm just like, yo, can we please like get back to the good stuff or wrap things up? Because I don't want to hate the game. This is also why I don't usually platinum video games, is because typically somewhere in the process of platinuming a game, I begin to actively hate the fucking game. Like I'm just like, dude, I'm like I'm not enjoying myself a lot of the times where trying to do arbitrary goals that I didn't set for myself. I think that it is great that games reward you for engaging with stuff and that you can go through and do insane stuff to 100% it. But I think that in the attempt to 100% a lot of games, you just end up like hating yourself and the game sometimes because you have to push through stuff that you don't even want to do. I think it's great that games don't force you to do all their content, right? It's part of why Rebirth doesn't bother me as much as other people. Because when I see like mini games and stuff I don't want to do, I just don't fucking do them, right? I just leave that part incomplete. And if there's like a materia or a certain reward that I really want for it, then yeah, I'll push through and do it. But like if there isn't, then I don't think I need to do it. And also, you know what? Boss fights are even better when you don't have all the best content. Because if you don't have all the best like gear or the best materia, whatever in your game, then you have to figure that shit out and strategize. So then it's even better, right? And then just having like all the best shit and then you just blow up the boss. I totally get it, but I try to remember that mileage vary in that aspect, in that respect. I think that if I was like 12 years old, I'd be completely on board with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Rebirth's content. Though, yeah. No, like 100%. 100%. Like in middle school, if I would have known about Persona in like middle and high school, because I didn't play it until later in life, but if I would have known about Persona like 4 in high school, that game would have like ruined my fucking brain. I would have been on it every fucking day that I got home from school, and it would have been amazing. And I guess people who did discover Persona in like high school like definitely got to experience that. But yeah, that game would have been like fucking awesome for me. But now as an adult with limited time, it's tough because whenever I turn the game on, I just want to get to the part where I'm having a great gaming experience and I don't want to slog through anything. So, let's talk about Kazutoyo Mahiro. Actually, let me go pee real quick and then we're going to talk about Creative Studio 3. Give me one sec. Oh man. Okay. Um Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 16's Kazutoyo Mahiro says they are preparing to reveal a new gaming experience to us in 2026. Ambitions for 2026. In 2025, we released Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles on September 30th and Logos: The World of Final Fantasy 16 on December 16th. While the game and book took different approaches, we put our all into both so that anyone who picks them up might feel even just a little games are fun, huh? The next something we're preparing will be also content with a different approach. We're working hard to bring you a new gaming experience, so please wait a little longer until the day we can debut it. Very interesting. So, this seems to suggest that CS3 is working on a new game. And I don't mean, that shouldn't be too surprising. They've been working on a lot of new things. I don't think it's anything major. Like, I don't think that this is like Final Fantasy 17 or anything like that they're working on. But yeah, like he does say gaming experience, so I do assume that it's a game. I think that they're working on something new for sure. They already confirmed they were doing another project that wasn't FF. Well, okay. So, I mean, one thing that it could be is that Sakaguchi also said too that he was working on one more game after Fantasian. So it's entirely possible that he is working on that game with Square Enix and with Creative Studio 3. Because if he was going to work with anyone in Square, it would be them, since he has a tight relationship with Yoshi P. So if I had to guess, it might be that. It might be that game that's a follow up to Fantasian. In before Sakaguchi makes Fantasian its own series, I don't think that the first Fantasian performed well enough for them to do that. Honestly, pretty much all of Sakaguchi's games post Squaresoft have been. Um, I mean, I don't even think any of them has sold a million units, to be honest. They've all done pretty badly, actually, which is really unfortunate because they're not bad games. However, he puts them on platforms that just are not going to work. And part of this is kind of Sony's fault because I do think that, I mean, Sony is writing all of these exclusivity checks. It is insane to me that they have never wrote one to Sakaguchi and they let Apple, of all people, write one. And yet, you know, yeah. Isn't that new Gooch game one he was inspired to make after playing Shadowbringers and wanted to tackle a darker story or something? Yeah, that is correct. And he talked about that for a little bit. So my guess is that it's that. It's that CS3 and Sakaguchi are working on like a thing together. So I think that'll be cool. I hope that it's very Final Fantasy like. I mean, it probably will be. All of Sakaguchi's games pretty much afterwards have been Final Fantasy games for the most part. Um, all just without the branding of it. So I think that that's what they're working on personally. Anything other than that, I have no other really good guess. I know some of you are saying Vagrant Story. I think that's a pipe dream. I don't think that that's happening. I think that would be cool, but yeah, remaster of Vagrant Story probably isn't happening. And I don't imagine that Ivalice Chronicles like sold out of this world. Even Yasumi Matsuno was on Twitter talking about how he didn't expect sales to be that high, more or less. So we never got like a sales update on it. So I don't know if it broke a million or not. My assumption is that it didn't. I don't know if they're motivated to remaster Vagrant Story after that, but I would think that it was cool if they did. I think it'd be cool if they just brought Vagrant Story back as a new IP in general and tried to just be like, hey, we're gonna reboot Vagrant Story, so they could do a remake. I don't think they're working on a remake of it, but if they wanted to do maybe a triple A, double A, higher end remake of it, I think that'd be cool. Sakaguchi's weird bias against remasters is so odd to me. Well, I think that he he just doesn't want to be involved in it. That's like the thing. He basically is a true auteur, and he's like, I won't sign my name on anything that I'm not involved in. So he's like, unless I'm involved in the remaster, I won't do it. But why though? I don't fucking know. I get remakes, but I'm like, bro, why can't you remaster like Lost Odyssey? Like, why can't you just let someone else remaster Lost Odyssey? They're not going to ruin it, I promise. Just, but yeah, he's like, no. CS3 seems to be on good term at MontanO, so anything that MontanO related will come from CS3. I can see them using their whole rebuilt engine and code assets, etc. for Final Fantasy Tactics to also make Tactics A and A2 remakes with the voice acting. Those games are excellent and deserve a second chance by many who wrote them off originally for not being more FF Tactics. Yeah. That would be great. I mean, the whole problem with remasters from Square is that they don't have the source code for any of these fucking games, which means that they essentially have to reverse engineer. And from a coding perspective, these games could definitely be considered remakes in a lot of ways, even though they resemble the exact same game and not necessarily like a rebuilt game, let's say. But yeah, on a development level, there is a lot of challenges for bringing these games back purely because they don't have the source code. And they have to do an incredible amount of reverse engineering in order to get these games back in the way that they were. It's actually kind of worse than doing a remake in some ways from a coding perspective, because you have to 100% preserve the feel and operation of the original game with very little deviation, right? And so it's challenging for sure. That being said, obviously it's not as expensive as, say, just remaking the game, which is why they don't do that. So I think they don't have Dissidia Duodecim source code, and that's a 2011 game, for fuck's sake. They might. I think that's when they started to care about archival a little bit, because they had to use that code in order to make, I mean, the first Dissidia's code in order to make Duodecim. So Parasite Eve is likely a double whammy for Square Enix, for why Square Enix has not done anything with it years later. Likely lost the code like all their classics. If I recall correctly, they don't have the rights, seeing as the IP was an adaptation of a book or something, right? Yeah. I think that they can get those rights back, though. I don't think that's as big of an issue, because there is always a check you can write to somebody, especially when there is money to be made. And there is. So I think if they wanted to get Parasite Eve back up, they could. It's just a matter of when F. With the exception of Terra Battle and Fantasian, none of the other games were developed by Mistwalker. Mistwalker is not like not really a development studio per se. They mostly do the design work, and then they have another studio develop it. My assumption is that this may be the case also with Sakaguchi's new game. And I think Sakaguchi not having a collaboration with Square Enix all this time has been kind of an L on Square Enix's part, right? Because Sakaguchi's name does carry that power and weight behind it. And that is something like really good for marketing, obviously. So if I were them, I would be like, yeah, I want to have the, this is the Sakaguchi game. We've mended, all of our old beefs, and now we're putting this out for all of you who love like Sakaguchi, Final Fantasy, etc. So also, Third Birthday bombed and was critically panned. Yeah, Third Birthday was an ass video game. But does Sakaguchi actually want that? I mean, nowadays, I think he's cool with it. Honestly, I think he's been cool with Square Enix since the Final Fantasy 15 days. Sakaguchi is helping with the FF14 expansion. Cope, cope, cope. Yeah. They had to get Wada. Yeah, Wada was probably the worst CEO they've ever had for sure. Terrible, terrible direction that he took the company in. The only thing I remember about the Third Birthday is that it had synergy with Duodecim. Aya and Lightning swapped outfits or something. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Um, but it was not a great game. Third Birthday, that is. Yeah, I know that Blue Dragon has the DS sequels, but I never like really sat and played Blue Dragon. I owned it, but I never like really played it. For some reason, my brother was interested in Blue Dragon, and he played it for a little while. But I didn't really lock in until Lost Odyssey came out. That is when I was like, okay, it's my turn on the Xbox. Because growing up, I was not interested in like owning an Xbox at all. So the only way I got to play Lost Odyssey was thanks to my brother owning an Xbox 360. So I bought the game and played it on his Xbox. But other than that, I have basically not owned an Xbox since our Xbox 360 that me and him shared together. However, I'm always tempted to buy one solely to replay Lost Odyssey. And I know it's I know it's probably not worth it to do that because I'm like, so I really want to go buy like an Xbox Series S or something just to play this one game. I think it runs on emulator now, so you can always play it on that on Xena. Blue Dragon has one of Uematsu's best boss themes, really. I always loved a Lost Odyssey's soundtrack in particular because I feel like a Lost Odyssey has uh, such a unique identity to the way it sounds when compared to say other Uematsu soundtracks, but it also still sounds like him as well. It is just beautiful. I can help you with that. I have the ISO and the emulator. Oh shit, DM me, bro. DM me, bro. I remember that Lost Odyssey had like some issues on the emulator, but might need to see how that currently works. Still worth checking out their birthday if you can boot up PPSPP at some point. It's an interesting piece of history for sure to go and play third birthday. My mind wasn't in the right state for turn-based and occasionally pre-rendered backgrounds back when I played Lost Odyssey. Really want to give it another go. Oh man, dude. And this is what's so crazy. If Lost Odyssey came out today, same game, and it released on all platforms, yes, it would blow up. It would blow up and people would fucking love it. Lost Odyssey is truly a case of we released a great game during the worst era possible for that game to be released. Didn't go. What's up, my man? Lost Odyssey would be an industry darling like E33. Bro, we would be having like discourse on Twitter and like streams on here talking about, did Lost Odyssey just show Final Fantasy that it's lost its way? And people would be like, Lost Odyssey is proof that Final Fantasy is cooked and it was wrong to ditch turn based. It would be great. It would be great. But it came out during an era where people were like, "Oh, it's turn-based and it doesn't innovate on turn-based." And it's so funny right now because if you release Lost Odyssey now, people would be praising it for being bold enough to be turn-based. And so timing really does matter, you know? Um During that time, people basically, I mean, almost every review pans it just because they're like, it's turn based and they say it's dated. Now you put that shit out and it's like, oh, it's a fucking classic. Calls back to some of the greatest JRPGs of all time. But during that era, people were like, JRPGs need to evolve. But it's like, evolve into what? And there was kind of a pressure and sentiment that action equals evolution and turn based equals dated. Sakaguchi made the last story because everyone said Lost Odyssey was dated. Yeah, I know, and it's like I fucking hate that. Like not the last story, but like just that general sentiment of being like, oh, it's dated. And so I think that a lot of people nowadays can be like, oh, there's plenty of turn-based RPGs and kind of like wash over the fact that like turn-based RPGs really were pressured to become action games for a really long time, like an entire decade span of just pressure on turn-based RPGs to not be turn-based anymore. Thank you so much for this super chat. Ko-Fi, I'm gonna butcher your name. Amankawa? Ko-Fi Amankawa Jr.? Thank you so much for the super chat. Ko-Fi says, if Square Enix published Lost Odyssey with a remaster today for its 20th anniversary in 2008, it'll be a coming home party for Sakaguchi and it'll do wonders in this era. Oh man. So I do think that bringing Lost Odyssey back would sell more units now than it did when it was first launched, especially because it is an Xbox 360 game. And so remastering it to look like a current gen game is not far-fetched or incredibly difficult to do. You can mostly do that just by upgrading some of the lighting and the textures and a few of the effects, and it would already look like basically a current era game. The game is aged like immaculately well, so you don't even like really need to redo most of the character models or anything like that. So you can make it look like a current gen game, you know, for relatively cheap. But the problem is that I think after, well, two problems. The first is that Microsoft still owns the rights, the publishing rights to Lost Odyssey. And the second is that I don't really think Fantasian Neo Dimension, which is the remaster, did incredibly well. And so I can't imagine that like they're really out there looking for Lost Odyssey remaster. Now, here is the thing. Suppose I'm Microsoft. If I was Microsoft and I just saw Expedition 33 sell 5 million in less than a year's time, E33 will probably be at 6 or 7 million by the time 1 year rolls around in April, right? If I would have just saw that, I would have immediately been like, Lost Odyssey remaster on all platforms. We're gonna cash in on the E33 grift, right? Because it's so easy to do. Because they already have a game that is pretty similar in a lot of ways. That was, that Guillaume even said was like a direct inspiration for Expedition 33. So I would be like, oh shit, okay, let's go ahead and make Lost Odyssey remaster, right? I would want to get that out. So I do think that E33 will be I think E33 will be a good thing for turn-based games in the end. I know that like it is really hard for people who spend too much time on twitter.com to acknowledge and know this, but I do think that E33 will benefit turn-based in the end, because I do think there will be more interest in making these types of games. Now, speaking of which, I think this is a good segue to talk about Chinese Final Fantasy, I guess you can call it, or Chinese Expedition 33. It's been making some waves recently. It's called Sword and Fairy 4. It's apparently a big game in China. Pretty similar to Final Fantasy in some ways. I only skimmed the trailer and I thought it looked really cool, so I want to watch it in full here. If I could... What the fuck? Why can't... Oh, well. That should be good enough. I don't know why it has so many downvotes on it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Oh shit, it's off center. Hold on. I thought I cropped it right. I never get this shit right. Fuck it, I'll just do it like that. Oh, let me make myself smaller. Sorry.
和你下山，真的能知道我爹和我娘过去的事吗？
太好了！我就知道剑仙的传说果然是真的。
我觉得，渺渺世间不独有人，人要活下去，妖也是一样。
妖本身即是恶，难道它不存有善念？
I mean, the game is beautiful, right? Like, holy shit.
灵光早遇，想不到我有生之年还能再见。
Okay, so there is like a dodge parry mechanic. Interesting. It is hard to say because timeline wise, you'd wonder how long this has been in development for, but I will say the fact that they have a parry here does seem like there was a thing that inspired that. But also the way the interface is set up. I mean, Persona 5 kind of did it first. But it still kind of feels like E33's interpretation of it to me for some reason. Can't anyone create something new and unique? I mean, I'm gonna be real, nothing in art is new and unique. That's why when people talk about like, oh, everyone copies each other, I'm like, yeah, that's how art works, bro. It becomes a little bit more apparent in video games when everyone gets mechanics from each other, but like, yeah.
我足命可与人同归于尽，也不能让他们侵占此地。
Bro, I just realized it even has like the kind of stamina posture bar too that E33 also has. Or like a stagger bar maybe that you could say from like Final Fantasy. But yeah, it's there.
琼华多年夙愿传于我手，岂能轻言放弃？
Yeah, bro, there's definitely a parry mechanic in this. There's definitely a parry mechanic in this. But also, like, why is this surprise? Like, I think anyone denying that E33 influenced this, I don't know, man. Like, this seems like pretty. I mean, just look at Genshin, right? Like, Genshin was so directly like, we want to make our own Breath of the Wild. So, yeah.
天道不过是神界的一面之词，为何人的命运要由你们来定？
I mean, I can't deny this shit looks pretty tight. How did the original game play? I don't think it had parries, I don't believe. I believe that's new for this remake, I want to say. I may be wrong.
天河，你晚了22年。
Unreal Engine. Yeah, dude, it's kind of funny too because I feel like this is definitely this is definitely going to be something that Final Fantasy is also going to get probably compared to when it comes to abandoning turn-based combat for sure. I do think that there's going to be people saying like when this comes out, because honestly, like the budget for some of this stuff, I'm like, they are definitely spending as much as a Final Fantasy game on visuals, or maybe not spending, but they are definitely rivaling the scope and quality of a Final Fantasy. I say probably not spending because making games in China is way cheaper than anywhere in the West or Japan. So they can usually outspend us and they can outspend Japan by quite a lot. And yeah, I do think people are going to look at this and say, what the fuck, Final Fantasy? And especially if this game is successful. Even people who like E33 are denying the influence. Why? I saw people on Twitter saying that it's like Trails that they're taking inspiration from. But I'm like, dude, come the fuck on. And like, no disrespect to Trails, but like, it's just like, do you think that like they'd want to appeal to the game that sold 5 million units? Also, people are forgetting E33 was actually incredibly popular in China. I don't know if you guys know this, but like 1/3 of E33 sales were in China. At least back when it first launched. So the game was actually incredibly popular in China. Black Lion Guard, thank you for the Tin 1, bro. Gestural problems require gestural solutions, yeah. So E33 was already popular in China, and this game being remade to resemble something that looks more like E33 makes a ton of fucking sense, actually. What's more crazy, though, is that they managed to... I mean, but here's the thing, though. Timeline-wise, that's where I would probably dispute like whether it got E33 inspiration, because E33 launched in April. And we're seeing this like right now, and there's no way they put together this game that fast. I think it is possible that they may have reworked some of it to resemble E33. So that may be where some of my skepticism on is this meant to be like E33 would come in, but E33 was definitely really popular in China, so it's not just the gameplay, the UI design, the sound design, camera work. You think they got the framework from Kepler and just slapped a Wuxia code on it? Code of paint on it? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like... that's kind of Chinese game development in general right now, Ian, is that I feel like a lot of it is just like what's popular in the West and Japan, and then copying the homework from there. So let's take a look at some of the comments. My favorite is this one right here, Expedition 44. The original 2007 game looks like a Suikoden game, and the remake version looks like E33. Legend of Dragoon remake would make people lose their minds. So we got the expedition-like genre now. I'm telling you guys that there are going to be a lot of JRPGs that are not JRPGs. There are going to be a lot of RPGs in general, because some of these will actually come from both the West, Japan, and other places that are going to try to make a similar game. And I know that some of you, or maybe a lot of you, are going to hate it, and we're going to have threads about how parry mechanics ruin turn-based games. I mean, we're still going to have like the vast majority of turn-based games not have parry mechanics, but I do expect like parry mechanics to become a thing that's popular to do, because I'm willing to bet a bunch of people who are working on turn-based games right now are looking at Expedition 33 or playing it and being like, let's put this in our game. I do think it'll be a big thing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just think that it is a thing that will probably create waves. Given that it was made on Unreal Engine, it shouldn't be that hard to make a trailer like that. China has tons of historical Chinese assets floating around, character generators, etc. Yeah, you're right. My thing about parrying in turn-based combat is that I don't hate it, but the problem that I do have with it is that in theory it's great. But the problem is that there ends up being no strategy elements to it a lot of the times. Or I should say, strategy is basically as involved as your ability to not parry everything that comes your way. And so the better you get at parrying, the more you don't have to engage with any sort of strategy. So I'm cool with parrying being in turn-based games, but I would just like to see someone come up with a design for it where parrying wasn't a way to get out of engaging with anything else that the game has to offer. And if you can come up with a solution for that, then yeah, let me parry and dodge in turn-based games. Sure, I'm cool with it. But if I can parry and dodge out of everything, then Like, yeah, fuck that shit. That sucks. Everyone in the comments is saying Expedition 33. Everyone in the comments is saying Expedition 33. What do you think of Xenoblade's mechanics? I think they're great and really well thought out, but I don't super enjoy them personally. I know that may sound paradoxical, but it's not bad. It's just like most of the times I don't think I'm having like fun when I'm playing Xenoblade's combat. I think it's just like the entry fee for playing a great RPG with a good story, but it's not like I'm not one of the people that are really into Xenoblade's combat. Like it was just kind of like a means to an end for me to get through the games. Yeah, I don't really like tab target combat in general, and even with 14, it was something I kind of just did because that's the combat system to get through this incredible story. But it's not a combat system that I like love and I'm like super into. It feels like OG WoW but single player. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's not bad. But it just never my brain never hits like it never hits that dopamine button in my brain. I'll tell you, Yumiya had a Xenoblade 3 combat if it were good thing going on. Love the combat in that. I haven't tried it, but perhaps I need to. Wuxia, whatever E33 is, that's funny. China Obscure. That's gotta be the funniest ones. Casuals will now call every JRPG a mid E33 clone. That's funny. That's funny. But I mean, you know, that could have been, or at one point in time, that was Final Fantasy, right? Like you would call, or I should say the casual audience would call every turn-based game, it's like, oh, it's like Final Fantasy. So, damn, this commenter says classic Chinese devs with their plagiarism. Damn. AI CG copycat. That's also another thing too, is that I see people saying that this is a bit too AI for them. Was there a live action? What the fuck? Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I might make a video on this because I think it's pretty significant. Yeah, I will say that I think Xenoblade is way more fun than Final Fantasy 12. I'm not disrespecting Final Fantasy 12. But I do think that like if I had to like pick between the combat of the two, I do think that Xenoblade is more fun than FF12. I'm going to be honest. While I do love setup and payoff systems, I think that I don't love it if the entire combat is just set up and payoff, right? Like I have to be doing something in real time to make it fun for me. I guess you could maybe argue that all turn-based games are that, but I just feel like with tab target, it feels like, I don't know, the tension isn't there for me as much with tab target as it is with action or turn-based. And honestly, I hate 90% of hybrids. I do. I don't like action turn-based hybrids except for 7R, which I think actually gets it. It's the only one that I think actually feels like I am playing an action game and a turn-based game. But everything else, I just feel like I'm just like, just be one or the other. But this is kind of cool, but so far everyone's downvoting it because it's a clone, but or because it has cloned vibes, let's just say. But I would like to remind people of how people reacted when Genshin was first announced. Let me see if I can find the article on it. Actually, maybe this will work. Remembering when, oops, what the fuck? Okay. Remembering when Genshin was plagiarizing Breath of the Wild. So when Genshin at first dropped, there was a ton of discourse that it was basically a Breath of the Wild clone. And basically people were downvoting Genshin and everyone was like, I'm not playing this garbage. And it's Breath of the Wild we have at home, as the meme says here. And people were furious about it. They were like, I'm not playing this Chinese clone of Breath of the Wild. And then that game probably makes the entire development budget of Breath of the Wild every single month. I think I saw on average Genshin makes like $50 million a month, which is fucking crazy. I feel like people hate Breath of the Wild nowadays. I feel like Twitter hates Breath of the Wild nowadays, but if you talk to people, no. Somehow there is always like a severely mentally ill Twitter account, and like they will post like the most insane takes you've ever seen, like fringe video game takes that like you talk to any normal people they don't agree with, but somehow there are like routinely accounts that like share like fringe takes, and you'll see them get like 10,000 upvotes or something, and I'm just like, how? Who are these people? Like, who's upvoting this shit? But somehow that's like a really consistent thing. And then you talk to people on other platforms about it, and like literally no one fucking shares that opinion. You talk to anyone in real life and no one shares that opinion. I have sometimes made like YouTube polls, like community polls, because I will see something fucking insane on Twitter and I will think, dang, do the majority of people really think that? And then I'll like go onto my YouTube page and I'll create a poll about that. And then I'll find out that like at the very least of the people that YouTube showed my poll, which doesn't actually just include subscribers, by the way. It actually includes people who have any watch history for the key terms in the poll. And like it will like not even like sometimes like less than 10% of people feel the way that the popular take, mind you, that the Twitter algorithm is pushing onto my feed. And so sometimes it just like Twitter will distort your reality because you will see opinions on there that way overrepresent how people feel if you talk to them anywhere else. A lot of people on Twitter will argue with me that Twitter is reflective of reality. I try my hardest to tell them to go outside, interact with normies for like 5 minutes. Yeah. Well, Twitter has the smallest audience of any social media platform, period. Right? Like Twitter has like, last time I checked, it was like 300 million. It might be bigger than that now. Let me see. Okay, so it's bigger than that now. It's basically doubled to like 600 million total users, right? But then you look at this. Estimated bots on Twitter. And I know, lol, AI summary, but there's an estimate there that says that 20 to even up to 64% of accounts exhibiting bot-like behavior. I wonder if we can find a real source on how many bots are on Twitter. We estimate that 24 to 37% of active Twitter daily users are bot accounts as of May 17th, 2022. Oh, that's definitely fucking gone up. That's definitely gone up. But anyway, yeah, you're interacting with clankers, bro. It's not real. This shit is all fake. It's all fake. Like, so much monetization is horrible. So much rage bait. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, recently, when they revealed the location of a lot of Twitter accounts, because they made it so that like all these big Twitter accounts had to show like what country they were based in. A lot of Twitter accounts that were deeply involved in posting like US political information were located in like fucking India. And here's the thing. It's not that they actually had any type of political agenda. So they didn't really care about like what they were pushing. The thing of it is that you don't make a lot on Twitter monetization, right? It's not crazy amounts. But relative to someone in India who is making United States ad dollars, it's actually a lot of fucking money. Enough money for them to be doing it full time. So, if you live in another country and you engage in US political rage bait, you can basically like fund your entire life. You can basically make that your full-time job. And it could be all you do is wake up on Twitter and make engagement bait for people in the US based on politics. And that will basically, give you enough money for you and your kids. And that's why that's a thing. Anyway, all of this is to say that social media is really fucking fake, guys. It's really fucking fake. To a point of where you can't trust anything you see anymore. AI image generation is only making that even more slippery of a slope, because now we have AI videos that generate things that are incredibly realistic looking, and there are models now that are producing stuff that nobody can tell the difference as strongly anymore unless they logically think about the layout of certain things or the way certain things are positioned, and all that stuff is getting better with time. So we are going to soon live in a world where either people believe everything, people believe just what they want to believe, which is kind of like what's happening right now, or people believe nothing, right? It's probably going to be a combination of all three of those things for different people. But everything is going to be called into question. The most gullible among us will be have their fucking brains destroyed. It's terrible. It is terrible. Grok is pretty funny at making 6-second videos from photos. Give it a go. I was messing with it today. Oh, man. And the fact that, like, you can just, like, they encourage you to do that with social media stuff, because you can just take, like, a photo of somebody and you can make, like, a weird thing without their consent, which is really fucking disturbing. And I suppose you could argue you could always do that with Photoshop, but the accessibility and just how disturbing you can get with the AI models is crazy. Now, to a point that was mentioned earlier in chat, I believe by Ian, it was that pretty much every major game studio is using generative AI to some degree right now. I think that's true. I don't think that there's any studio out there. Let's just be real. There is no tech company out there that is not using generative AI on some level. For me, it depends on in which ways and in what applications that they're using it that I'm more or less okay with. I think obviously to boost coding efficiency, it's already been here. It's been here for like 5 years. Developers have been using copilots for a long time. They've been using all that stuff is there. Basically every single app that you use on your phone, every website that you go to, everything has AI code in it now. Like that's already the reality. So and the only way to like protest that one would be to just straight up like get rid of your phone and your computer and don't touch anything. And I think pretty much every video game that is currently in development at the moment probably has generative AI code in it. AI isn't going anywhere. It's just that corpos are realizing that they can't replace everyone with vibe coding and Gen AI. Yeah. Vibe coding is such a stupid fucking name. I like it. I like it as a name because you're just coding based on the vibes. There's no logic to it. You're just like going wherever the winds blow, man. If nothing else, pretty much every programmer is getting help from AI, right? Well, because at some degree, it becomes like if you do get stuck on a problem, which is going to be very common for someone who is like a junior developer, it does kind of become a resource for you to just be like, hey, why does this have a bug? What is like the problem here? And a lot of the times it can at the very least give you suggestions on what's wrong. So it can definitely help you get unstuck. It's not just code. Does anyone think people are drawing brick textures from scratch or going outside with cameras when a Gen AI can just give you a fine brick texture in 20 seconds? Yeah, for sure. I do think that it's going to automate that type of work 100% of the way. Not saying whether that's good or bad. I just think that, like, you know, people obviously right now will pay for they'll go pay for a brick texture pack, right? On Unreal Marketplace. Versus like in the future, yeah, most companies will probably just generate the brick texture. I think that, you know, obviously if we could have a world without it, it'd probably be better. But the reality is that we're definitely going to have a world with it. And so I'm already thinking about that instead. And I'm thinking that it's better to just outline what are the ethical boundaries of using it, more so than like, you know, basically cornering companies so that they just lie about it instead of being honest about it, if that makes sense. So I think that like the recent scandals on Larian and Sandfall using generative AI has been like completely stupid. As a programmer, I can definitely say that people are using AI to debug. I try to use it minimally to keep my coding skills sharp, but I worry when I get hired, they require me to use AI. That's like another thing too, is that like in most cases, it's not even going to be your choice. on whether you want to use it. It's not even really going to be the choice of the people who own the company, even. And that's what's like fucked up about it. It's going to be the choice of the shareholders on whether you guys are using AI in most cases. Because what's going to happen is that investors will be like, why aren't you using AI to speed up efficiency? Right? And then they will pressure the CEO, and it'll be like, okay, well, we need to use AI because we have all of our money basically riding on, we need to use AI. We're going to look like dinosaurs, or we're not going to, like, our stock prices are going to go down. And so this is what's going to cause a lot of companies to get pressured into using it, even if they don't necessarily think on a personal level that it's a good idea or that they want to. And I know that sounds like insanity, but literally that's the system that we live in. It needs to stay away from character designs and cutscenes. I mean, that's kind of the thing. I think that most people, when it comes to like code, they don't give a fuck. Because the code is just kind of a means to an end. What people care about is it replacing the art and the artist. I think that's where people get really really kind of offended by it. Because with coding, I don't want to say that they're objective solutions, but they're a lot more objective than, let's say, art, right? And so, and there is definitely a tangible difference on the experience end, let's say, for something being an AI generated piece of code versus something being like an AI artwork, right? For example, if you get like AI generated code and the software runs fine, it runs well, and you don't even know that it's AI generated, it doesn't really seem to have an impact on you, right? Like, who cares? I mean, you may care like in terms of like how you feel about the uses of AI, but it's not like unless the AI code that it pushed was terribly buggy or inefficient, you don't know it from a user end, and it's not something that you're really actively thinking about. However, from a visual perspective, just because of how the technology works, period, it is always going to produce certain patterns, let's just say, because it's trained to know what it thinks good art is. And so there's definitely a look to AI art, and you can always kind of tell that it doesn't have that kind of soul that something that's human created would have, right? And even then, I do think that there is room, or maybe like it's not necessarily as offensive when it is, say, the brick texture or the tree texture or the grass texture, right? To be honest, that's one perception about this one thing I dislike about the perception of coding. There is an artistry to it, just like there is logic to art, but because programming isn't as front facing, people are more okay with programmers being replaced. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say, and you put better words to it than I did. We don't see it, and we can't tangibly feel the difference. And because of that, everyone is more okay with the AI doing the coding than they are with it doing the art, right? But like when it's doing the art, we fucking hate it. Like we look at it doing the art and we're like, turn that shit off. Like our brains just fucking hate it. But when it's code, we're just like, yeah. So anyway, The answer is I don't fucking know. But I do know that we have a lot of moral questions to ask ourselves going forward. And the future is going to be really fucking weird. And yeah, I don't blame anyone for having any of their opinions whatsoever. I understand all of them. I definitely understand. Not, yeah, like Cloud Strife says, I don't support Gen AI in any way, which isn't a minority opinion. Yeah, for sure. You know, and I think at this point, it's not even a question of like, do you support it or do you not support it? It's already in everything that we use. And I don't even mean like AI summaries on Google and stuff like that, although yes. But like I said, like I'm pretty sure that the code that you're using to watch this right now, some of that code is being pushed by it, you know? Like some of the code is using it right now. And that's the thing. If you're not at the company, you don't know to what degree that is, right? So I don't even know if there is any way to, like, there's no way to actually stand against it unless you just stop using digital products overall, right? So we'll see. We will see. I wouldn't be able to tell or know or see the coding to tell unless someone data mines the game. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sure even there's even some code at Nintendo that's made by AI. I mean, yeah, probably. Because, well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, even like other people necessarily wouldn't know if you're like a developer working at somewhere and you push it, right? Because even if you vibe code, all you have to do is just go back and check your work and make sure it's good, right? Before you push it. The only way, yeah, the only way you like people would like really know that you vibe code is if you pushed code and it was really low quality and obviously bad and like they ask you like what the fuck you were doing and you can't even explain like what the fuck you did. Then they would know. But like other than that, there's not really a definitive way, or like the AI like leaves comments behind or something like that that clearly indicate that it was like replying to your prompt or something. But like, there's no way to be like, oh, only an AI would write this code. In games media, we used AI for or SEO slop at a publication I work for. Guess what? Our numbers weren't ranking. We don't use AI in Men's Journal. I'm getting more views than ever. This is the thing about it using it for that is that it will give you answers that are very broad general use case, right? But it won't give you anything specific. Or not specific, but I should say customized, truly tailored, truly outside of the box, right? So, for SEO, it's really going to give you what every other person who is using it for SEO is going to get, right? It's going to be within those confines. And so for SEO in particular, that's just going to like put a whole bunch of people all in one space. So yeah, for SEO is probably not like a super great usage of it. At least not raw. Like at least not like I'm going to like use the SEO like without my own personal modification and considerations for whatever it output. I'm more worried about people just blindly taking whatever it comes out of it than I am with its theoretical existence, if that makes sense. Right? Because if everyone was actually using it as a tool genuinely, it wouldn't be as big of a problem. But the problem that I see happening is that like people kind of just take whatever it puts out and then don't put anything back into it or modify it or use it in any way. And so that is actually kind of a bigger foreseeable problem, I think, than even it just being around. Yeah, so it's going to be a AI is contributing to digital illiteracy. It's a good tool for specific things, but it's also an easily misused tool. And that's kind of the problem, right? Is it definitely does have good use cases, but how do you enforce people to only use it for the good use cases, right? That is the problem that I currently see. If you're using it for the good use cases, then I think that's fine. But when you're using it for, I mean, sometimes straight up immoral things, let's be honest, then that's like really a huge problem. Problem is people are making AI do the work, and then people with no talent and skill are getting jobs, and then they tank the game because the game sucks and it's soulless, right? So like, I mean, one of the bigger problems right now is that the fact that like hiring for a developer is fucking insane right now, because you can't even like, you can't really test anyone's knowledge anymore in the same way. Have you ever taken a programming class ever? Brother, I was a computer science major. I'm sure you can imagine variable names being inconsistent with the AI code. That can lead to confusion on what a variable does, is for, and slow down development. Yeah. I mean, context windows will get bigger and bigger. So I don't know if it's going to be like a massive issue about like what it forgets over time, because I think in like 10 years the context window will be able to fit like, you know, like 100 books worth of like information in it. So yeah. You and I talked about this before, but nuance is completely gone from the internet and general literacy. Like, we can acknowledge things are good and bad and not take a side. Yeah. I don't know what the future looks like. That's why I don't really talk about or comment on this much, because I just really don't know what's going to happen. So I'm kind of saving my judgment. I do think that there's definitely a lot of bad things that are happening. And I do think that we need to stop that immediately. And there definitely needs to be good regulation on this stuff. And we definitely can't, continue to, destroy the planet and do things like that. So we'll see. AI wouldn't have been a problem if the U.S. regulated it properly, but the FTC is spineless, so we all have to deal with this nonsense. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, most of the issues that we currently have with it, including energy efficiency, are all problems that lawmakers can solve. And really, to be honest, they're the only ones who can, other than the people who are making it themselves who won't. But the thing is that a lot of them are so deep in the AGI chase that no one wants to regulate it because they don't know how the culture is going to shift in like the next 10 years around this stuff. And they don't know about how much money is going to be made. Basically, no one wants a handicap in this race because everyone wants to get there first. So they're allowing it to do things that I do not think that they would allow it to do like 5 or 10 years from now. Yeah, the guy who rides his bike is saves carbon emissions is noble for doing it, but not really going to make a dent in the issue. Yeah, exactly. The only people that really can are the lawmakers and the people who are actually doing the bulk of it, right? And so it's tough. It's tough. I don't really know. Did I get an email from Square recently? Just checking something? Oh man. I don't think so. I'll check that later. I shouldn't say anything on tree, but I don't think so. But I'll look. I'll see. Um but yeah, that's kind of the state of our world. How did we get on this? Oh yeah. Blade, what's it called again? What's the name of this fucking game? Sword and Fairy 4 remake. Very interesting. Let me see if I can look into the other one, like the original. Oh, if you Google it, you like only see. Dang, you like only see the brand new version when you they don't even show the OG Sword and Fairy anymore. About to call it Stellar Blade? What? Anyways, it's called Chinese Paladin in China. That's fucking funny. Yo, that's actually fucking funny. I don't know why that's funny, but it just kind of is. Like, why is it called like Chinese Paladin? I don't know. That would be like naming a game like imagine if like Call of Duty was called like American Soldier. That's that's like that's kind of fucking funny to me. I'm sorry. American Soldier. That's honestly, this game taking E33 notes isn't any different than the increase in market trend of Souls like. It's not. Yeah, it's the same. And on that note too, I think that there are definitely going to be more E33 likes because there are going to be people who are going to want to cash in from the experience. Which is not only to say that they will have parry mechanics in them, but I think you're going to see a wave of Final Fantasy-esque games with that parry mechanic that also have like Dark Souls shit in them as well. Just like E33. I do think that there is some irony, however, to everyone else making what are really Final Fantasy likes, if we get down to it. Because, I mean, that's kind of what's at E33's core, being a Final Fantasy like with a parry mechanic. I do think that there is like a, a really like funny ass irony to Square Enix having stepped away from that for so long, that basically Final Fantasy is now like becoming a thing that everyone else is doing. Like turn-based Final Fantasy. I do think Final Fantasy X likes, I mean, that's what this really is, right? Like it's basically a Final Fantasy X with the parry mechanic, and that's a thing that people want, apparently. And I mean, obviously I like Final Fantasy X and I like E33, and I'm not as like doomer about like there being more games like that. So I look forward to Sword and Fairy 4 remake quite a lot. I don't think that SE will do it. Or actually, let's be like more realistic. Square Enix will do it after the popularity has already like blown over. So in like 2035, after everyone is completely over this shit, that's when Square Enix is like, "Hey guys, we went back to turn-based and we got the parry mechanic." And then everyone's like, "Yo, get the fuck out of there, bro. We already have like 500 games like that. No one's making that anymore." That is when Square Enix will come out and say, "We're doing it." So you don't have to worry about Final Fantasy 17 or 18 having that, because they're not going to do it while it's still a thing that people care about and enjoy. They're only going to do it once everyone is over it and no one cares. It depends on when FF18 comes out. You're right. You're right. And then everyone will be like, "Yo, why the fuck are we doing this?" Okay. So I think that's a stream for today. I we will eventually finish Trails. I think we'll do it maybe Friday or maybe next week. In either case, we're on the second to last chapter. We're actually almost like right there at the end. So, okay. I love you guys so much. If you're on Twitch, we're going to raid Very Finny. She's playing Dirge of Cerberus. And if you're on YouTube,